and I'm trying to keep it short and quick today because I know you guys are busy with your October count assignments in each of your classes. And so for many of you, I excused you that just showed up. I said, I'll record it and we're good to go. But we do have an MHTA, and we're going to talk about cultural diffusion and cultural development. So first, the key concept that we talked about this week was the idea of how a culture develops. And many, if not all, cultures have absorbed traits of other cultures and have imposed their customs on other countries and cultures as well. In today's highly interconnected world, the ideas and the concepts of each culture are shared even that much faster, especially in the 21st century. Cultures develop in two different ways. One is through spontaneous local invention, and the other way is borrowing traits from others to kind of, develop your own. The movement of cultures, the developed cultures from one culture to another is called cultural diffusion. And really, only 10% of any given culture can be traced back to innovations within that specific group, while 90% of most cultural traits come from cultural diffusion. Cultural diffusion is kind of a big concept we want you guys to understand, because anything you look at in our today's society is, for the most part, a result of our different cultures messing and using bits and pieces from the different backgrounds and from different people traveling here, and we're adapting and changing. So with that, I want you guys to watch this short little video. It's just a cute little video that kind of defines on how this culture diffusion actually takes place. So we're going to do a little share here in just a second. I'm going to share this. And you guys are going to see my screen here for just a second. And I'm going to pull in my, is it going over here? Okay, here it is. Okay, we're going to go to my Explorer window, Teacher Tube. Sorry, just took a second. And now watch this.
Cultural diffusion. Diffusion. It's a big word, right? We're going to eliminate the confusion about diffusion. Cultural diffusion is when a product or an idea from one culture is shared with another culture. We're going to use chickens as an example. Chickens were first domesticated in Asia, but it wasn't for food that man first tamed chicken. Instead, it was for sport. But then, one day, someone decided to eat the chicken. It's not really known when, but someone eventually ate cooked chicken and said, that is good. Now, since we don't really know who ate the first chicken, we are going to pretend. Let's say some guy in Asia eats chicken and really likes it. He eats it and goes, man, that is some good chicken. So the Asian man really likes chicken. I mean, really, really, really likes chicken. He likes it so much he eats it for 20 straight days. One day he cooks chicken for his friend. And his friend goes, that is some good chicken. So his friend tells a friend, who tells a friend, who tells a friend, and eventually everyone in this guy's village is eating chicken. And eventually everyone in this whole culture is eating chicken because it tastes so good. Now, one day, an African trader is traveling the Silk Road to buy goods from China for his king. And he comes across people selling chicken to eat. He had never seen this before, and he was unsure. But the price was cheap for the chicken, so he bought some and tried it. Good, he thought to himself. So he talks to the guy selling the chicken, who goes on to explain to him how to raise chickens, how to sell chickens, and then finally how to cook chickens to eat. The guy takes all of this information with him back to Africa. He says to help with the silk, the king's had in their life. The chicken was such a success that the king went on to invest gold into raising and selling chicken. And eventually, all of his kingdom was eating cooked chicken. This story about eating cooked chicken is an example of cultural diffusion. Eating cooked chicken went from Asia over to Africa. And why? Because chicken tastes good when it's cooked.
Okay, so that's just a quick little story for you guys about culture diffusion. So as you can see, that the chicken, the whole concept moved from one culture, and it was one trader sharing it, and then before you know it, hey, KFC probably got it here in the United States, and there you go. So just an example of cultural diffusion for you. There was my desktop share. So migration was the next concept we talked about. And migration, of course, many of us have watched National Geographic over the years and watched migrations of different animals. But migration is a term for it in culture sense. It's the migration, it's the movement of people from one place to another. So it's a migration of people. And it can be permanent, temporary, voluntary, or forced. It can be international or just across state lines or borders, country borders, or villages. And it can resort from a variety of factors. We call them push-pull factors. Push factors are those which force a person to move, and things like that, like if they're in their local area, if there's a shortage of food, or if there is a huge drought, or if there's overpopulation, or war, or violence. Those are things that push people out. Pull factors are those which encourage a person to move to that new area. These include a chance for a better job, or better education, or safety, so there's not war there, or there's plenty of food there, there's not overcrowding. So lots of different reasons. We call them the push-pull factors for human migration. So what drove the first humans, since we're talking, we're studying Africa on this unit 4, the first humans to leave Africa, when we're looking at what caused them to leave Africa, things that affect that is like food. If there was a shortage of food, they might hear of food in a different area and want to go there. Space can be another factor. If they're packed in so tightly in certain areas that they're like, we need freedom to move, and not have to struggle over the internal resources, as well as weather and climate. So, if there's drought going on, they want to move and leave areas in Africa to try, different areas or countries of the world. So those are some of the first reasons that we had a lot of migration out in Africa. So then we moved from talking about the concepts of movement in Africa to different areas to some internal movement in Africa, and due to strife, and we talked about Sudan and then the Lost Boys and how they moved out of their country and were kind of forced by political and violence, political issues and civil war. And they moved, and then through United States programs, they were actually replaced. And so we looked at the Lost Boys and their experience, and really from the perspective of how is that to go from a culture that they had been so exposed to be thrown into the American culture. It's a dinky ethnic group, and all of the things that they knew and had all been experienced throughout their lives, all of that was challenged when they came to America. And even the basic things we don't even think about. So we did a lot of reflection on that and how they, the movement from one country to the other, how that has impacted them personally, and how their own cultural ideas were thrown into an upheaval. So we did a lot of studying on that this weekend. I really hope you guys enjoyed the looking at the Lost Boys, because it's really a remarkable way to look at some of the things that we perhaps take for granted in America that we don't even realize that we do, and how someone from the outside would view that when we consider it just so normal. So like I promised you today, I will keep it short and sweet. So I'm going to give you my MHTA. So you guys can get back to doing your October account assignments. But the MHTA for today is that every one of us has different components of different cultures that make up our own unique culture. And the more that we can recognize that, the more open we might be to other cultures. So my MHTA is just realize that even our own individual cultures are the result of cultural diffusion. So cultural diffusion affects even us. All right, so that's our MHTA. Make sure you guys do your cultural assignment for me, and I look forward to chatting with you guys online here shortly. Remember, our new week starts on Wednesday morning. Thanks, everyone.